The prettiest 150 acres in your county just came up for sale, and your name is on the offer. The plan reads like a postcard: buy the land, mow the grass, sell the walk. And on paper, you could not have picked a better moment. Americans have now played more than 500 million rounds a year for 6 years running, a streak the game had never managed before. About half of the country's private clubs keep a waiting list. By industry benchmarking counts, peak green fees have climbed about 30% since 2019, and the United States has more golf courses than McDonald's restaurants. Every one of those numbers is genuine. The business they describe still, somehow, struggles to pay for itself, and one line item explains most of it. The average 18-hole course now spends about $810,000 a year maintaining the property. $810,000 for grass. By the end of this breakdown, you will know what a golf course really is once the flags come off, and a sports business is not it. You will know why your most important supplier never sends an invoice until the 1 year it does. And you will know what owners actually clear, from the scruffy 9-holer by the highway to the club with the 6-figure waiting list. Numbers first, romance later. If that is your kind of golf, subscribe and settle in for the full walk of the property. So what does the gate cost? Golf is priced like real estate, because it mostly is real estate, and the market sits on 3 broad shelves. The bottom shelf is crowded. Tired 9-holers and rural daily fee courses trading from a few $100,000 to $1 million and change. The middle shelf is the workhorse, an 18-hole public course in decent shape with a working kitchen, and depending on the market that is roughly $1.5 to $5 million. The top shelf, resort layouts and private clubs with real dues, runs well past that, into the tens of millions for trophy properties. Appraisers sanity check those stickers 2 ways. Per hole, American listings have lately clustered around $150,000 to $400,000 each. And by earnings, the trade press tracking recent sales puts typical deals in the neighborhood of 1.5 times gross revenue. Now read what conveys with the deed, because this purchase is a working farm in a collared shirt, a barn of specialized mowers, an aging fleet of golf carts, a clubhouse with a kitchen, a pump house, and a crew that starts before sunrise. One more quirk of the purchase: the bank is rarely excited to help. A golf course is what lenders call a single-purpose property, hard to repossess and harder to resell as anything but what it is. So deals in this market often lean on local banks, private money, or a seller willing to carry the note herself. And notice the clock. The sun came up this morning, which means the property has already started spending. Then come the bills the brochure kept quiet. The first lives in the equipment barn. Tournament-grade turf is cut by machines built like surgical instruments. A single new fairway mower can cost as much as a new pickup truck, and the barn needs a stable of them, plus mechanics to keep the blades honest. The second is the clubhouse. You wanted a golf course. You also bought a restaurant, and club dining rooms are notorious in the industry for earning little or losing money outright, because the customer base is whoever happens to finish on the 18th green. The third is the paperwork that scales with acreage. Property taxes on 150 developable acres, insurance for a business where strangers drive carts near houses, and a permit file that never closes. The biggest cost of all, though, is not on any invoice yet. It falls out of the sky. It has been free all spring, and its chapter is coming. Cheap land with a golf course on it is rarely cheap. The course is why. So, where does the money actually come from? Strip the scorecards away and describe the operation to a stranger. 150 acres, irrigated, fertilized, seeded, and mowed in stripes several times a week, tended at dawn by a crew with agronomy degrees. The stranger would call it a farm, and the stranger would be right. Except one thing is missing: the harvest. This is the most intensively farmed ground in America, and the crop is never sold, never shipped, never eaten. The crop is the view, and the register up front sells admission to it. Now run one Saturday golfer through the machine. She pays the national going rate at a public course, call it about $40 for 18 holes. Divide the farm into her ticket. 500 million rounds spread across 16,000 courses works out to roughly 30,000 rounds per course per year. And 30,000 rounds under an $810,000 maintenance budget is about $27 of turf care per round. Sit with that split. 2/3 of her green fee went to the lawn before the shop paid a single wage, a single premium, or a single tax bill. The famous product barely covers the cost of growing it, which is why the real money walks in after the first swing. The cart she rents cost the course almost nothing per trip. The beverage cart meets her on the 7th hole. The range bucket got her early, and the glove and the sleeve of balls carry markups the fairway will never know. And the second register keeps scaling without planning anything. The driving range turns buckets of balls into margin on land too small for holes. The lesson tee sells hope by the half hour, and at the courses that have them, simulator bays sell golf in February. Golf is a grocery store where the produce aisle loses money and the checkout lane sells jewelry. So say plainly what you bought. Not a sports franchise, a farm that grows scenery, wrapped around a gift shop, parked on top of a land bank. It is the only farm in America where the harvest is the view. And with rounds at record highs, which number do the professionals actually chase? Not the green fee. A green fee is retail golf, one weather-dependent transaction at a time, resold every single morning from zero. The lever is turning the round into a subscription. A member is a golfer who pays in January for grass she will not see until May. Dues arrive whether it rains, whether she plays, whether the greens are being punched that week. The subscription does not check the forecast, and the forecast is this business's oldest enemy. The numbers on that conversion have gone vertical. Industry trackers watched the median initiation fee at American country clubs jump from $29,000 in 2019 to $50,000 just 3 years later. And in the big metros, the entry price now runs 6 figures, with waiting lists measured in years. Annual dues stack on top of that, and when the roof or the greens need rebuilding, members get handed a capital assessment as well. Many clubs even guarantee the struggling restaurant's revenue, billing members a food and beverage minimum they owe whether they show up hungry or not. The retail golfer buys a round when the sun is out. The member has already bought the year. The best in class industrialize this. Invited, the Dallas-based giant that began life as Club Corp, runs more than 200 clubs with over 400,000 members, a portfolio built on the dues model rather than the daily gamble of the tee sheet. The whole engine in one sentence: acres, times the rounds the weather allows, times the second transaction, plus dues that were paid before the season started. Green fees sell sunshine, dues sell January. So if demand is at record levels, why do operators still bleed? Watch the waterfall. Labor takes the biggest cut, because this farm is tended daily by hand and machine, and the maintenance crew is on the clock whether the parking lot is full or empty. Fuel, fertilizer, sand, and seed reprice with every commodity cycle. The kitchen underperforms politely in the background. And then there is the rained-out Tuesday, when revenue is zero, the crew still clocks in, and the crop keeps growing toward its next expensive haircut. Underneath it all runs the treadmill. Bunkers wear out, greens age, cart paths crack, and every one of those is a 6-figure project waiting for its year. And across most of the country, the whole contest is seasonal, with 7 months of revenue asked to carry 12 months of payroll, insurance, taxes, and debt. None of this kills a course on its own. It just files the margin down to a nub. The grass does not honor rain checks. Now, the supplier I promised, the one that never bills you. The fundamental problem with farming scenery is that scenery drinks. By the industry's own estimates, a typical American course runs through something like 300,000 gallons of water a day in season, and desert courses can pass 1 million on a summer day. Many courses pump their own from wells and ponds, and in a wet year the sky quietly hands the whole industry its largest input for free. But roughly a quarter of American courses have to buy some or all of their water, and for them it eats around 13% of the maintenance budget. The national average water outlay runs around $100,000 a year, and the Southwest averages well over $200,000, with the size of the bill decided as much by water rights as by weather.
Then there is what carries it.
Beneath the fairways runs an irrigation network with as many as 1,000 sprinkler heads, and the rule of thumb for replacing a worn-out system is about $2,500 per head. That is a check in the low millions for a business that nets a few $100,000 in a good year. Not a repair, a heart transplant, priced at several years of profit.
And the third problem
is the longest-term one. Every drought turns the greenest acreage in town into a headline. Water authorities in the dry states have spent years paying property owners to tear out thirsty turf, and when reservoirs drop, outdoor watering is the first valve a regulator reaches for. A business that pours a small lake onto a lawn every week makes an easy villain, whatever its actual share of regional use. A course can survive a dry year agronomically, browning out its roughs and nursing its greens by hand. What it cannot survive is becoming the story. Your biggest supplier is the sky, and the sky signs no contracts. Step back, because one riddle is still open. If demand just set another record, why did the price of admission to this industry stay so low? The answer is a hangover. Between 1986 and 2005, America added roughly 4,500 golf courses, a pace of about one new course every 39 hours, for 20 years. Bankers financed fairways, the way a later decade would finance houses, and developers sold home lots off the promise of the view next door. The game built for a boom that arrived late. From 2006 onward, the correction ground through the industry at a rate of well over 100 closures a year, and the country now plays its record rounds on roughly 2,000 fewer courses than it had at the peak. The survivors inherited the demand, which is why closures have lately slowed to their fewest since the correction began. And under every distressed course lies the floor that makes this whole asset class strange: the dirt. American golf sits on about 2 million acres, more ground than the entire state of Delaware, much of it inside cities that desperately want land. When the golf finally fails, the land goes back to work. In Glendale, Arizona, a home builder paid over $28 million in cash for a shuttered course. In Las Vegas, a builder took over the closed Royal Links course, bought for over $33 million, with plans for 1,600 homes. And in 2026, Florida's legislature approved a law making it easier to put housing on dead courses in its crowded South. A change that puts more than 50,000 acres in play. Demand came back for the golf. The money came back for the dirt. Time to pull the drawer open and answer the real question: what does an owner actually make? 3 honest tiers. Tier 1, the daily fee operator. Published, benchmarks put typical course margins at 10 to 20% of revenue. So a public course grossing $1.5 to $2 million leaves roughly $150,000 to $400,000 before debt. And be clear that this is an operating margin, not take-home. The mower fleet, the bunker project, and the loan payment all eat from that plate first, which is why analysts who totaled up California's city-run courses in 2020 found most of them losing money. Tier 2, the event engine. The semi-private course that stacks weddings, leagues, and corporate outings on top of the tee sheet pushes revenue harder without buying another acre. And run tight. That model can pay its owner a solid low to mid 6 figures. The logic is simple. A single wedding can bring in what a couple hundred green fees do, and it books in January, which is the closest a public course ever gets to collecting dues. Tier 3, the club with the waiting list. Dues income smooths the weather. Initiation checks fund the projects. Assessments pass the big repairs to the members, and margins can reach the mid-20s%. And under all 3 tiers sits the quiet 4th return, the appraisal of the acreage itself, compounding in silence while the golf pays the bills. In this business, the spreadsheet argues with the appraisal, and the appraisal usually wins. So who actually gets rich? First, the people who stopped owning grass. Troon, the Scottsdale-based manager, runs more than 760 18-hole equivalents around the world, and collects its fees on every one, without holding the deed to the sod. Second, the consolidators. Apollo, the private equity firm, took ClubCorp private in 2017 in a deal valued around $2.2 billion, and the renamed Invited now anchors the dues economy nationwide, while rivals like Arcus assembled portfolios of some 70 clubs. And third, quietest of all, the sellers who read the map correctly. Boca Raton sold its 190-acre municipal course to a home builder for nearly $66 million. Several times what most operating courses will ever fetch as businesses. The best final scores in this industry were posted by bulldozers. So close the pro shop and count the day. The farm grew a perfect crop nobody bought. The members paid for winter in advance. The sky delivered for free one more season, and the dirt under all of it quietly appreciated. Keep the number from the top in your pocket. $810,000 a year, for grass, is the price of the view. Whether you want the golf, the dues, or just the acreage wearing a flag until the rezoning clears, be honest about which one you are buying, because they pay on very different schedules. That call is yours to make. Which business should step onto the tee next? Drop a name below this video, then subscribe, and bring a pencil to the next one.